and welcome to another NextWaveDV gear review. I'm your host, Tony Reale. Today we're going to be looking at some BrightCast LED flex panels. Now, BrightCast had sent me these in for review. They want to get my opinion on them. And I was curious to see how they stacked up against the Westcott Flex LEDs that I've had for quite a while. Westcott was one of the first to introduce flexible LED panels. Since then, there have actually been a wider variety of panels, including the BrightCast. But honestly, the Flex LEDs are going to be the first that pop into my head as the I guess established standard that I go back to. So I'm going to compare these to them, see what I like better about them, and see what Flex LEDs are still better at. So first thing that you notice about this panel is, of course, it's very thin, ridiculously thin, and that is inherent to the design of these flexible LED panels. You can bend and mold them into a variety of shapes to fit whatever the needs of your shoot are. So you want to stick it in the corner somewhere, or you wanted to kind of create almost a half dome effect, like the portion of a China ball. There's so many different ways that you can rig these lights because of the flexible nature of them. Another advantage to them is these ones specifically are weather resistant, so they actually can get wet and you don't have to worry about that, which is awesome. You know, LEDs, some of the one-by-one panels, even though they're somewhat durable, in the sense that you wouldn't run into problems of if you drop them or had something smack into them, that the light bulbs would break like you would with like a fluorescent or an incandescent or something like that. Most of them still have like exposed circuitry that if they got wet, you'd run into a problem. And I've been on shoots where all of a sudden it started drizzling, and all that dramatically changes what light you can set up and what lights you need to start tearing down. So having a light that is inherently weather resistant, that's awesome. All right, so this light is a bicolor LED light. So right now I have it set to 5600. So if I were to flip it off, you can see this is what the panel looks like by itself. Flip it back on, and we're right now at a very low percentage just so that it doesn't blow out the camera. If I were to turn it all the way up, well, you can see how bright that can be. So it is also bicolor. Now, this is where this light gets actually pretty stinking cool. Typically in a bicolor light, you have a row of tungsten and a row of daylight, and then a row of tungsten and a row of daylight. And when you switch between them, you're essentially, so like if you had a 1000 LED light, you would have maybe 500 tungstens and 500 daylights. And so each of those diodes, you're sacrificing the total output of your light for the flexibility of having it be bicolor. In this light, if it was set up that way, you'd have a row of tungsten and a row of daylight, and a lot of them are set up this way. The way they've designed it is the tungsten and the daylight bulbs are right next to each other. So when I switch between tungsten and daylight, you'll notice that there's not much of a change of coverage. It's because the LEDs are rigged right next to each other. That's pretty cool to me. Like, you're not losing output that you might normally lose from a typical LED fixture. So this is one of the best bicolor LED designs that I've seen thus far. Now, looking at the back, there is a V-mount mount, so you can pop in a V-Lock brick battery in there. Interestingly enough, the way they designed this is that there's no power adapter built into the plate. It actually has a D-tap plug that would then go into where this AC power cord is going. You'd go D-tap into that plug. So this plate is just a dummy plate. All it does is hold the battery. So you don't really even need to have it on there. You could just plug in the D-tap to there and then just set the battery down somewhere else. That's good and bad. You gotta assume, you gotta look at your V-Locks and see if they actually have a D-tap. Some V-Locks I have don't have a D-tap into them, which then would not work with this example is my red bricks. They won't work with this light. Inherently, I'd have to use a light that has a D-tap. So just something to keep in mind. Now the light does separate from this power brick. It's a very self-contained system. So let's actually talk a little bit about the package that it comes in. They have a really nice little box package that this comes in. It's kind of a soft, rigid case, and it all packs in really, really well there. Everything is easy. You just pop it open, unzip the case, pop the light out, and you're ready to be shooting on it, as you would expect for most one-by-one LEDs. And I do like that for this light. I have a tendency to reach for this if I need to have a one-by-one panel set up quicker than the Flex LEDs. The Flex LEDs are super portable, but they take a little bit more setup time. You have to connect the wires together. You have to put out the little mount system bracket, then you pop the LED onto it. It's a little bit more setup with the Flex LEDs. So this is all ready to go, and pop it out of the box, you're good to go. So that's nice. Now, if you were to separate it from this power brick, there's a little screw on the top and the bottom. So if we loosen it here, first thing you notice is that there's this little screw that pops off and a screw on the other side that pops off. Not my favorite way of removing a light. This is tiny, you're on set, it could get lost. So that's a little annoying. Now it can screw right back in there once you take the light off. And it's Velcroed onto there. So, and if you did lose these, I mean, it's not like it can't stay on there, it's just Velcro's on there. But that's a little, you know, little bit of a downside, is that you have these little tiny pieces that could get lost potentially. All right, so now we have removed the LED panel from the power brick. And you'll notice right here, you see how long this is? This is something I don't entirely like about this light. I'm kind of torn when it comes to this cable. This is great for short rigging. So if you know, now this light is completely mountable in any way. There's Velcro on the back. You can flex, you can mold it, you can put it anywhere. But this cable is not very long. So if I want to put it up high and not have this power brick right next to it, kind of out of luck. This power brick has to be somewhere nearby. Flex LEDs are really, really good at having very, very long cables. They even have extension cables to make this go longer. So I don't know if they make an extension cable for this. I would love to see one, because that could really help. You know, the shortness of the cable is nice for organization. I don't have another cable that's just taking all this space up when I don't need it to be that long. But if they had some sort of a cable that wasn't, or that was longer, and I could just plug into it as an adapter, that would be awesome. Because right now, there's not a ton of ways that I can rig this without this power brick getting in the way. Now it is sleek and it isn't huge, but it's there, and it can get in the way from certain crazy rigs that I have done with the Flex LED lights. So we pop it back on here. There is the ability to adjust the tilt on there, and they did a smart thing, which is they put the tilt adapter at the base of the light. I've seen some where they have the yoke that tilts like more on the side of the light, where you see like it would be like this and it would tilt back and forth like that. That can get into a problem if you put on external soft boxes that we'll talk about in just a second, because then you're running into a problem where the light can't tilt because the yoke gets in the way of the soft box. So this design's much, much better. So speaking of soft boxes, this light doesn't inherently come with a softbox, so that's one other thing that's different than the Flex LEDs. But they recommend using the diffuse softboxes, which I actually have a whole bunch of. I use them all the time. They're great for 1x1s. And there's a couple different sizes. There's kind of a medium-sized one that works perfectly with this light. So I grabbed one of those, and I keep it with this light. So there is a little bit of rigging that you have to do just with the Velcro, but I really do like the diffuse softboxes. Just by themselves, they're pretty awesome. So the fact that this light recommends them, the manufacturer just says, check that out, and they're not that expensive at all. And they pop up pretty quick. So so that is it. You can get a softbox on there, and I have used that setup very, very often. So so all said, this is a great option. This is a great addition to the flexible LED lineup. I do like a ton of the features on it. So there are times that I would prefer my Flex LED panels. They are a little bit more agile, so they can be rigged in unique ways that this light still would possibly struggle with. But it's really nice to have this as an option. I really do like the speed of setting it up. I like the flexibility, the functionality of it. I like the way that they've configured the bicolor components to it. So this is definitely a light that I keep really close to my camera at all times. This is the light that I'll probably always bring with me when I just need one light in case I need a 1x1, never quite know. So it's a great option to have in your kit. So if you're looking for a flexible LED or you're looking for a 1x1, this should be on your list of things to check out.